Hi everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Sigma product announcement. My name's Tim and I work at Sigma UK, and this is Matt, my colleague.
Hello.
And today we are announcing a brand new lens in the Sigma lineup. It's a sports line lens and it's designed for mirrorless cameras, so Sony E-mount and L-mount cameras. It's a bit of a beaut, isn't it, Matt?
It is, yes. This is the new Sigma 60-600mm F4.5-6.3 DG DN lens, and yes, just a newer upgrade of the previous 60-600 for DSLR cameras, packed with tons of new features. So yeah, we'll go through those in a bit. It's very exciting.
Yeah, you might have used or even owned the existing 60-600, which was designed a few years back for DSLRs, and so this is a kind of an update, I guess, for the mirrorless world, and it's got some new features. It's a little bit smaller and lighter. It's really nice bit of kit, and of course extremely versatile.
Massively versatile, yes. Yeah. You can anything from sports, wildlife, aviation,
yeah,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Air shows and stuff. It'll be a hugely useful lens for that, and motorsport, of course.
Motorsport, perfect.
A lot of motorsport photographers, or I don't know if you're working at a football match or something. The 600mm is really useful, but quite often you need the wide end as well. Yeah. You know, if you've got players by the corner flag and you're on the touch line, you've got to come right. You've got to come right out. So this is a bit of an all-in-one, and it's the same thing with motorsport. If you get a car in the distance, the 600mm is great, but if it comes around a bend and you're just behind the tyres, the 600mm is no good. So this is a great all-in-one that can do a bit of everything. It's a bit of a jack of all trades. It's great.
Yeah, and around about 200mm. It's got quite a close focus distance of 1/2.4, so you can get close-up style photos with it as well, just adding to that versatility that's already in the lens. It's amazing what they can do now.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that a lens of that type would be able to go to that close.
That ratio.
1 to 2.4 ratio is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
The lens has two brand new features which you wouldn't have seen before. The first is a brand new motor called the HLA motor, the high response linear actuator motor, which has been specifically designed for this lens, potentially might be out in other products as well, which helps with the speed of autofocusing, especially for lenses with such a long focal range like this.
Yeah.
And the second being the OS2 stabilization algorithm, which allows this lens to be handheld even in low light. It can give you effectively 6 stops of stabilization at the telephoto end, and 7 stops at the wide end. So,
which is pretty amazing, because typically image stabilization gives you around about a 4-stop advantage on most lenses. So to get 6 zoomed in and 7 zoomed out is pretty impressive.
Bonkers.
I mean, it's unbelievable. So so if you're hand holding, light's getting a bit low, and you're like, I don't want to pump the ISO up too high. You've got that. You've got that in your arsenal, which is absolutely brilliant.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
And both of those, the features, the new focusing motor, which is super fast, super quiet, super accurate, and that new algorithm for the image stabilization, both of those are brand new to this lens. So they've not been on any Sigma lens before. Nope. Newly developed, and very effective.
Yeah, perfect for, again, the newer mirrorless cameras that are on the market. Be able to keep up with demands of the autofocus tracking now found. In your Sony and Panasonic L-mount cameras. So if you're using the burst shooting, tracking modes, all those sort of things, this lens will be able to cope with all of that, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else we got, Tim?
Well, there's so much to talk about. So let's have a look at, should we have a look at the button layout so we can go through some of the features? Yeah. We've got 3 AFL buttons on this. So there's one here, and one here, and they are customizable depending on the camera you're using, but I use a Sony with a lens like this, and on that Sony there's probably 100 different things you could set that to. It could be ISO, it could be eye tracking, whatever it is you want to use it for. And there's 3 buttons, because this button here sits on the thumb when using it in landscape orientation, but if you're shooting in portrait orientation, then one of the other buttons sits over where the thumb is. So it's a very kind of very intuitive kind of ergonomic design, I guess.
Yeah, very versatile.
Here we've got a zoom lock switch, so the zoom won't creep under its own weight if you're carrying the lens around. So a lot of people like to carry it by the tripod foot, and without the zoom lock switch, over time long lenses will eventually creep out. Or if you're shooting the stars or something or pointing upwards, they can creep back on themselves. So having that lock switch is really useful. Just means it won't move. It's got, let's work this way. So we've already touched on the tripod foot a little bit, but this is a really nice feature. That it's a fixed collar, and yeah, you can rotate it to change the orientation. On the bottom, there's a dovetail Arca Swiss fitting. Yeah. So you don't need a tripod plate. You can just pop that straight on your Arca Swiss tripod head. So you don't need you don't need to bother with putting a plate on the bottom. You just drop it straight on, which is a great little feature. Moving along, we've got four switches down here. We've got the focus mode switch. We've got the focus limiter, so that just speeds up focus accuracy if you've got foreground in the way of what you're shooting, or if you've got background behind a little bird or something you're shooting on a branch. That's really useful. OS modes, we've got two. There's one for general shooting, one for panning, and then at the bottom we've got custom modes, which you can do various customization with on L-Mount cameras. So yeah, those are the buttons.
Lovely.
Talk us through the build.
Yes, so the lens has weather sealing, so all the buttons and the dials are weather sealed. The front of the lens as well has a water and oil repellent coating, so if you are out in the field in heavier weather, you'll be able to clean it off without it smearing on the front of your lens, which is not what you want when you're trying to quickly react to your subject. Yes, the materials as well as thermocomposite material, which is the same as some of our other lenses that we released last year, like the 16-28. That allows the lens to retain its shape in all weather conditions effectively. Very little change, so if it gets very cold, the lens will operate the same way as it does at room temperature, same if it gets really hot. It will perform effectively across the range. So
yeah, it's very clever, that thermally stable composite. It's the same. It's got the same thermal expansion rate as aluminium, basically. So the inside of the lens is built of aluminium, the kind of the inner barrel, if you like, and then the outer structure is this TSC polymer. And because they all expand and contract at the same rate, when temperature changes, you get a lens that behaves very predictably, regardless of where you use it. So if you take this to the Arctic Circle,
and then to the Sahara,
then you know you've got a lens that is just going to work. It's just going to perform properly. There's not going to be any play in the bits, it's very very clever material. It's also very robust. Looks very good. It's very sleek.
Well, the great thing about being robust, the lens can be zoomed two different ways. So we were talking about, again, versatility. We call it dual action zoom. Standard twisting of the ring on the front. Oh, let's unlock that. So for fine, precise control. But if you're in fast-paced environments, things moving closer to you, further away, you can push and pull the lens from the front to be able to rapidly change your focus length on the fly without having to worry about breaking the lens effectively. So yeah, again, so versatile.
It's a good feature. That it is a good feature, because I think it's really good for something like, I don't know, bird photography, and they move so quickly. And if you're zooming in and out like that, it can take a while to that's 2 seconds that is all important, because the bird's gone by then. So the fact that you can just punch in and out, it's very useful. It's hard to, it doesn't sound useful, but when you're out there, you're like, it really is.
Definitely. And when you're in the hides as well, so if you are setting up a shot, you can twist the lens to any range on the front and then lock. There you go, lock the lens. So at the moment we're at 150 millimeter, and that will stay there. So again, if you're sitting in your hide, don't need to change your focus range, don't want it creeping down. Again, any spot along the front, just set it and away you go.
Brilliant. Comes with its own lens hood, very sturdy lens hood, this one, and it's got its own locking functionality, so you can just twist it and lock it on so it won't come off. And then at the front, the top here, it's got a rubberized. Is it rubber, or is it? It feels like rubber. I think it is. Kind of grippy kind of front ring, so that you can take it on and off it more easily. And also, if you do push-pull zoom, you quite often grab the hood, and it's quite nice to have a grippy part of the hood so you can get some purchase on it. Beautiful little thing. So what does it weigh?
It weighs...
that was an unfair question.
That was an unfair question. I should have this answer in my head.
Taking notes.
Yeah, it weighs 2,400 grams.
That's close enough.
Pretty good.
Close enough. Yeah, it's about, is it 2,450 or something? It's about that anyway. It's 2.4 kilograms roughly.
2.4.
Yeah, depending on the mount that you have, whether it's E-mount or L-mount, they weigh slightly different. But and it's a bit lighter than the existing.
It's around about 200 grams lighter. So either that or my ass off. So
yeah. Oh, something else you didn't mention. It's got these little what do you call them? Kind of loophole clips.
Yeah, for a strap.
Clip holders. I don't know. Yeah, for a strap. Yeah, so you can carry it around your shoulder more easily if that's how you like to carry your lens around. I personally like to carry it like that.
Yes.
Using the and by the way, that is, you can probably see on the bottom here. There's 4 hex screws on the bottom there, and so you can remove that foot and you can put on a different one. You put a longer one on if you prefer. Horses for courses. Some people prefer having a smaller and lighter foot just for, just
convenience.
Convenience,
when you look at this is the DSLR 60-600, the DG OS HSM. As you can see, we've got on here the longer foot as Tim was describing.
Yeah.
Just allows you to adapt it to how you want, really. Just easy to take on and off. And
you can just purchase that separately. I actually quite like the longer one because I think it's nice to. I've got quite big hands and you can carry it around more easily. But it's either way really. But very easy to change out if you want. So you can see them next to each other there. That's the older one. That's the newer one. Well, I say older. It's still a current, of course, existing. But
weight-wise, even just with one hand, you can still tell there's a bit of a difference in the new one. Especially if you are taking the kit around with you a lot of the time, that difference in weight can add up. Especially if you're going through airport security and all that sort of stuff. You need to be able to have baggage allowance. Yeah.
One of the guys who's one of the photographers that we've that's tested this out already for us, a pre-release sample, was saying that he does a lot of work in the Arctic and the Antarctic, where it's like pretty harsh conditions out there, and he works a lot in kind of snow, like falling snow, like blizzards, and it's just battering it down with snow coming in sideways, and he just can't change lens out there. So whatever he leaves the boat with, is kind of what he's stuck with. He can't you can't just like take your lens off and put a new one. It's just too kind of wet and So he was like this is a dream come true, because you can really easily just like stick this on and you've got all your focal lengths in one lens. You don't have to touch it. You can use it in rain because it's weather sealed.
And you can also put the 1.4 times converter on there as well. So if you did want to
or a 2 times
add that, you can then stick that in your pocket. So if you do need to get that little extra in focal range, then you can just add that on.
That's only L-mount, of course, those converters, but we don't do one for E-mount at the moment. But it is actually its claim to fame, I guess. This is sort of USP, I guess. This lens is that it is the world's first 10 times zoom for full frame mirrorless cameras. So it's pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
And even in the DSLR world, it was the first and still is the only full frame 10 times zoom that goes to 600mm, which is pretty amazing, really. It's a super, super versatile lens, very useful, very sharp. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and hopefully we shouldn't have to be waiting too long for it to come out.
No, that's true.
Availability.
So today is, of course, just the announcement date. There's a bit of a wait for it to actually be on the shelves. We're looking at this, I think it's 17th of February, isn't it?
Yeah, 17th of February, and it's going to retail at £1,999.99. So, we'll have links in the description so where you can go and pre-order. So we've got a where to buy section on our website, so you can have a look through there, and all the full specifications will be available on the website as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Only other thing to mention that while we've got you is that we've released our 2023 program of workshops now. There are 15, maybe?
Yeah,
15 I think at the moment currently, perhaps a few more to be added. 15 workshops. We call them the Sigma Masterclass workshops. They're mostly one day, a few are half days, and there's all sorts of stuff. There's photographing dragonflies, there's doing long exposure landscape photography.
We've got a new one for this year. We've got a video course as well to learn how to take expert video on your DSLR and mirrorless cameras, so that's a great one
Yeah,
I think in London, that one.
Yeah, that's a really good one because it's run by a guy who is director of photography. He's quite an experienced guy, and will just take you through the basics, everything you need to know about shooting video on your mirrorless camera DSLR. Yeah. So that's worth looking up. They're not expensive at all. They're really good value courses, quite small groups, somewhere between 6 and 10 people or something.
Yeah, none of them are more than 10 people on a class, so you get a lot more personal tuition effectively when you're on there, and usually one of ourselves from Sigma will be there as well to help you along.
Yeah, we always bring a load of lenses along as well. So like if you're on we've got a birds of prey one, for example. So of course we'll bring that and a few other long lenses for you to test out in various mounts. So
and you don't have to have Sigma gear to be able to come onto these courses. So if you are thinking of purchasing Sigma lenses, looking at our cameras at all, more than welcome to purchase on the course. Bring the kit that you have, and then test out what lenses we have available. Yeah.
And if you want to check out that range of courses that we're running for this year, you can do so right here. There's a link there, and we'll put it in the comments as well, so you can click the link and
So there's a big banner on our website as well. So if you click that will take you through to our landing page of the events, and feel free to browse what feels right for you.
Awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much everything you need to know about the new 6600 F4.5-6.3 DG DN OS Sports. Kind of in a nutshell, huge zoom range, 60 to 600, so 10 times zoom. Lots of really nice features. The dovetail foot on the tripod collar here.
Again, the new motor and the new
motor
algorithm built in. So
for better optical stabilisation. So it's got loads going for it. It's £2,000. It's on the shelves on the 17th of February, but you can pre-order it now. And if you do get the chance to go in store at any point in the after the 17th of February, then do try it out. Or if you come on one of our workshops, do get your hands on it and try it, because it is a really, really, really nice lens. Very sharp, very fast. So
definitely going in my bag.
Yeah,
right now.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.
Take care.